When I was 21 years old, I lived with a random 40-year-old woman. I met her on Facebook through a group. I was moving to Charleston, South Carolina, and I just really wanted to improve my living situation because, to have some backstory on this, I was working an accounting job, a corporate job that I just really wasn't happy with, right? But I lasted long enough to give myself a financial cushion to where I can move somewhere with the hopes of building a life, and that place was Charleston because there's beaches, it was sunny, and young me thought it was just a nice place to be. So I basically just packed my car with my essential items and drove down there, really with an RV booked, and that's going to be more in detail in a future video. But I got down there and I lived in this RV for 5 weeks that I got on Airbnb, and I paid way too much for it. Looking back on it, way too much. And I also didn't do a great job of looking at the area that this RV was located. So I was living in this, and turns out it was in basically one of the worst streets possible in North Charleston. So I was in a really bad area, and it was borderline unsafe to stay there. But through this 5 weeks, I was just looking for the next living situation, and this woman posted that she needs somebody to help split the rent with her. This was in a much better area, so I basically just reached out, explained my situation to her, and she ended up FaceTime calling me. She was a bit frantic at first with it, and I could tell that she, looking back, was definitely financially strained. But after a normal conversation for about 20 to 30 minutes, she ultimately decided that, let's do this, as long as you can, Venmo me your cut every single month. You could use my furniture, you could use my kitchen items, you get your own bedroom and bathroom. So to me, I was like, you know what? Why not? I was a 21-year-old single guy just trying to make it in that city. So I ended up moving in. And I lived with her for about 8 months. And during this tenure, what I learned is that even if people have age on you, even if people have like life years and time on this planet, that doesn't mean they necessarily have it figured out, right? She was a very nice woman to me, and she was sympathetic to my situation, but she was hustling. She made poor financial decisions in the past. She never really thought about saving for her future or anything like that. Became very clear to me as well. And later did I find out that she was just in immense debt. So she was picking up constant jobs. She also had this beautiful dog. I hope that dog is still around. I really loved that dog. But I would volunteer to take care of her dog because she was just working so much that she literally couldn't be at the house. And then in return, she would, buy me a meal once in a while. And it was pretty chill when it came to that. And I did enjoy hanging out with the pup, for sure. But also with her, she was just very frantic, and emotionally, I could tell she just has been through some trauma. So I would just kind of hang out in the living room. I like to watch music videos and kind of just hang out. So I was doing that a few times, and she would come home a little drunk, a little on something, a little emotional, and she would basically just stay up with me and want me to be, sympathetic to her. And I didn't mind doing that. I want everybody to feel good at the end of the day. But part of me, I'd be lying if I didn't say it was just like, get it together a little bit, just get it together a little bit. And then it got even worse. So time went on, and I was, working some restaurant jobs here and there. And then after like a few months, I kind of just decided to be unemployed, and with that, kind of just Venmo her the $900 it was every month to live in this. It was honestly a luxury apartment. It was a very nice apartment that she was at. But I would do that and kind of just relax by the pool. I would go out with, I had some friends there that I was trying to grow with. and try out some restaurants. I was really just kind of chilling for the most part over there. But she eventually had some problems because she was dating a guy, and she was trying to bring him over to the place. I didn't really care that much. I mean, as long as I could kind of hang out in my room, you know, play some video games and whatever, it really didn't matter that much to me. But they started like fighting a little bit, and this guy was also way younger than her. So at the time, we're probably about halfway through my tenure of me living with her. And at this point, I probably should have knew like something was up, because this guy was probably like 25. She was like 40, 41, whatever the case may be, looking back. And coming off that, she was kind of just a wreck. And by this point, like, she's had enough, you know, people over and all that I kind of know her friend group a little bit by now. And there's some interesting dynamics. She was friends with a middle-aged woman who was trying to set me up with her daughter for a little bit. But then my roommate, she ended up catching feelings for me. And that's where it got really weird, right? Because I didn't mind just like going out with people, regardless of male, female, like 10 people with us, one person, two people. It didn't matter to me. And just like grabbing a meal, grabbing a mimosa, something along those lines, right? But I guess somewhere along the way, she got a little confused about the dynamics and started making like advances on me. And I just really wasn't about that, honestly. It was a little bit weird for a bit, but yeah, when it came to that, I mean, nothing came of it. I never did anything romantic with her per se. So she kind of just kept hyperscaling emotionally from there, and it got to a point where I was towards the end of my journey in Charleston, and I realized that I just didn't have a career lined up there, and I wanted to be back with family up in the Northeast where I kind of grew up. And I gave her 6 weeks notice that I would not be basically living there anymore. So I paid out the rest of my money to her. And when I did this, yeah, she was really freaked out, because she was like, oh, you only gave me 6 weeks notice? Like, you should have gave me 8 weeks notice. Should have given me months and months. You know how hard it was to even find somebody, and how much I was struggling when I first met you. And I got that whole talk. Right? But I really, in my heart of hearts, felt like I wasn't really doing anything wrong. And I felt like she was letting other aspects of her life falling apart really just get in the way of my decision to wrap it up and leave. You know, and it wasn't like I was a needy person. I was kind of just existing there. I mean, I had stuff in my bedroom, of course, but like outside of that, I wasn't like a slob. I wasn't even like using any of her like real personal stuff outside of like the couch and the TV in the living room. But yeah, she got very upset when it came to that. On the flip side, on a more optimistic, positive note, I will say, although like she started tweaking out towards the end and it kind of scaled from there, I don't regret doing it, because it was an interesting experience for me. She was cool for a fraction of it, and I basically got to rent a dog for free. And I also got to live in a place that I really would not have been able to afford otherwise, in a nice part of the city. Just being able to really put up with that kind of situation. And I didn't really care, because like, I was 21. I didn't really have a lot of, you know, personal baggage, and like, I didn't have any debt. I didn't have really anything like holding me back from taking that kind of a jump. And there were some certain perks, like the included fitness center at that place every single day. There was like a high-powered coffee machine with cappuccinos that I could use. So in my mind, I was kind of justifying like, all right, I get a gym membership. I get a free like $3 to $10 worth of coffee every day. it's like the best gig ever. I get the pool right there. I could go to the pool whenever I want when I'm not like working a restaurant shift or something. And I'm like 15-20 minutes with traffic from the beach. It was great. It was great from that lens. So it was really an interesting time for self-discovery. And I would say, like, if you're a young person, don't be afraid to think outside the box when it comes to like living situations, because we all know how much rent is now. I mean, you got to think back then, that place was $1,800 without utilities. It's probably like low 2000s at least now, if I had to look, for that specific apartment. It's just very hard for a majority of people to make that kind of money on top of all the other bills to really put money away at the end of the month. So the way I was living was I was just eating the 900 and kind of picking my spots with labor in between. And yet, like, was I rich? No. I actually kind of bled through my money through dumb other stuff, like going out too much at like nightclubs around the city, which we could talk about in a different video as well. But in terms of just the raw like living situation, and I've had a variety of living situations at this point in my life, I would say the value I got for $900 was phenomenal. But everything happens for a reason, right? And everything works out. I mean, it's a story I could tell here on YouTube. It's something I could, always say I did. But if you're trying to put some money away, just having the ability to have some roommates, really, regardless of age, is a great idea to have, especially in your early 20s, when you're trying to get that footing and get that launching pad under you, for sure. But I hope she's doing well now, because I haven't really talked to her in years. But yeah, that is pretty much the story. She overall was a nice woman, but just life kind of hit her. That's kind of me reflecting on it. And at the end of the day, just try your best to set yourself up so you don't end up being in that kind of situation when you're in your 40s as a single woman. I guess, or single person, single man. All right, well, thank you guys for watching and supporting the channel, and I will see you in the next one.